Today, I'm joined by someone who's spent more than 3 decades at the highest level of healthcare marketing, consultancy, and in particular, medical communications. Charlie Buckwell has led global teams, built award-winning capabilities, and sat on executive leadership teams at some of the world's most respected healthcare communications networks. He also happens to be joining the team at Agency Futures as a senior advisor. So, Charlie, doubly welcome.
Thank you, Simon.
It's good to see you. So, Charlie, you've spent a long time, many years, at the intersection of science, strategy, communication. But can you give us a sense of your journey?
Yeah, well, firstly, I guess I started off after studying life sciences at university and thinking I was going to go into academia, perhaps into research in the life science area. Realized after a little bit of bench research time that wasn't really for me. So I moved into the pharmaceutical industry on a graduate scheme in what is now AstraZeneca. And I was there for 12 years or so, mostly in global marketing in neuroscience and then oncology, and had a lot of experience at both the interface of launching new products with major countries around the world, but also at the early commercial R&D interface in the early pipeline developments. And so that gave me, early insights a long time ago now into some of the challenges facing the healthcare industry, pharmaceutical companies in how they bring those products to market. And I still think some of those challenges are live and real, to be honest, and that's affected my view of how providers in both the medical communications and health communications more broadly need to deliver for clients and deliver more value. And we'll get into that, I'm sure. And so I looked at medical communications because I was really interested in how the science was playing out in the marketing communications activities that we were undertaking. And I looked at other areas of health communications as well at the time. But medical communications, because of its focus on the science and how that is both communicated but also then clearly understood, and how it then impacts patient care, was something I was really interested in and remain interested in to this day. And then, I was very privileged to have the opportunity to end up leading a medical communications business within what was McCann Health 20 plus years ago now, and took that team over several years from essentially what was a very good medical writing house to something that was more comprehensive, more differentiated, and have longer term potential to grow and succeed and make a difference in this market by building around that core scientific skill, but fundamentally never losing that skill. Because if we don't have that, we're going to struggle to really deliver even just the basics for what clients require in this space. So I was very lucky to have that opportunity, and also the opportunity to build a longer term perspective on how this business is going to evolve.
Bringing the conversation around a bit towards mergers and acquisitions, the great age of uncertainty in some ways that we talk about quite a lot, the consolidation that's happening in market that is quite fragmented. What are you seeing in terms of M&A activity?
So I think firstly, the consolidation dynamic that we've talked a bit about is real, and fundamentally the market is fragmented, but there remains a lower cost of entry to this market. And so I think there will always be smaller startup, newer agencies appearing, and that will continue. So I think the fragmentation is pressure that will continue because people can set up their own agencies still with a relatively low cost of entry if they've got the right relationships. So I think that's going to continue. At the same time, if those providers are going to then bring together different areas of specialism, they have an opportunity to look for the right kind of partnerships and the right kind of transactions, if that becomes their consideration, in order to bring those different values together. So we need to think about specialist capabilities not in isolation, but the potential to bring different specialisms together to unlock their potential. So if I was a founder of a smaller agency, I'd want to make sure that I have the right capabilities within my core team. I have the right diversity of client relationships to deliver growth potential, both top and bottom line. But I'd also be seeking strategic fit with other capabilities in order to maximize the value of what I can bring. And so Again, not looking at specialist capabilities in isolation, but in how we can influence the whole value chain of how products are brought to market.
You're joining Agency Futures as a senior advisor, specializing in healthcare, medical communications, healthcare sector. For founders and buyers in this space, what will you be looking to bring, and where do you see the most immediate opportunities to add value?
So I think, firstly, in supporting these businesses in looking at growth and how they develop organizationally and culturally, and how they optimize what they've built in the first place. And perhaps, those businesses that are not yet at a stage where they want to consider transactions of any kind, but they are looking to evolve overall, remain competitive, keep growing without losing their ethos for sure. And I think certainly we can help them with that, with a different perspective, with advice, consulting, with if that's what they're looking for, client connections, perspectives across their business. For those considering some form of partnership or transaction, I think then we can help founders and agency owners think openly about what capabilities they might seek to bring together to optimize the value chain that we've been talking about and differentiate and future proof what they are doing from a perspective of how this market is evolving. And with perhaps a 3 to 5 year or perhaps even a 5 to 7 year perspective on where that might go for them in this process. We're not necessarily talking about, let's do a deal this year, right? We're talking about how do we help them evolve in the right direction that's going to help them continue to thrive and compete.
Charlie Buckwell, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll catch up soon. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.